I'm delighted today to have join us in the class Mr. Peter Thomas, entrepreneur, scholar, public speaker, educator, author, philanthropist. Peter, quite an eclectic background. I noticed in my background reading on you that you spent 10 years in the military with the Royal Canadian Dragoons Regular Force. That's quite a feat. And then past that, you founded Century 21 and were the chair for Century 21, a $9 billion operation.
Yep.
Samoth Capital followed that, did extremely well in that. And awards, many. If I can be permitted, I'll just scan through just some of the highlights of them. Chairman Emeritus of the International Advisory Committee for the Entrepreneurs Association. Founder and chairman of the Todd Thomas Institute for Value-Based Leadership here at Royal Roads, which we can talk, and I'm sure you know more about as learners at this organization. Chair of the Board of Trustees for the Thomas Foundation. Past member of the Board of Directors of the World's President Organization. The Golden Hearts Award for Leader of Distinction, and Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award for the region. Quite an impressive background, Peter. Well, let's get at it. Peter, since 2001, I've noted that your life has shifted. You're now addressing a lot of social entrepreneur issues and charitable causes, as well as considering as this value-based leadership, the importance of values. Can you share with us and for our students today the importance of their values? How do they fit into business?
Wow. First of all, on that introduction, all those flowery stuff that you were saying there, I think I'm going to teach the kids one lesson immediately before we even start, and that's the critical importance of surrounding yourself with good people. None of the success I've had, none of it would be possible if I didn't attract good people. And I was asked once about why I was successful, and the answer came to me, and I've never forgot. The answer is a good answer. I have the ability to attract, retain, and motivate people smarter than I am.
Good strategic leadership skills.
Absolutely. And if these kids are going to be successful, they need to be around successful people to learn from them. So I want to give the credit due where it's supposed to be.
Peter, we're doing the same thing today to have you here to share some of your thoughts and experience in mentorship with our learners. And the average age of our folks out here are 39 to 41, mid-career managers, pretty bright folks in their own regard.
Well, when I got started, Terry, I was a single parent kid, came with my mom from England.
Yeah.
And like you said, I joined the Army when I was 15, stayed there I was in 7 years, not 10 years. Joined when I was 15, joined the Royal Canadian Army Service Corps, then went over to Egypt with the Dragoons for a year, and then came back and took my release. And I finished my high school. I actually didn't go to university.
Yeah.
I just finished my high school. And then went out and sort of tried things, and I got real lucky. I became a salesperson.
Yeah.
And I learned from some fantastic salespeople in the securities business, mutual funds, things like that. And so I learned what you really had to do to be able to convince people, I guess you might say, to your way of thinking. The skill sets that are required for that. And I would recommend everybody go and get a part-time job selling something to start with. With the 39 or 49 or 29 or 19 or 9, a little door-to-door wouldn't hurt anybody, because you don't get lots of surprises. You got to learn to think on your feet. So that's kind of the first part of it. But I just seemed to be getting lucky as I went through life. I had some great people and great timing and stuff like that. It always worked. And somebody once said, well, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I got to realize that I never was, and I'm not that smart, Terry, but I really am a hard worker.
Yeah.
I really work like crazy. I get up at 6 in the morning and I keep going, and I love it, And so I'm quite passionate. That's another big thing, is about being passionate about life and about what you do. And if you're not passionate, you're probably not doing the right thing.
Dizzy Gillespie said, if you can't feel it, you can't play it.
Yeah.
Same sort of story.
Yeah, same thing. So as I moved on, through life, I wondered, things are going I had a fabulous life until, and I'll go real quick to 2001. In 2001, I lost my son, Todd. Todd committed suicide, and he was age 35. And he chose to take his life. He suffered from, he was bipolar and schizophrenic. And of course, that is an event that happens that changes your life forever, or something like that, And lots of people have tragedy in their lives. And really, you never do get over something like that, but you've got to get past it. And so what happened to me is I had quite a successful business career. Then in 2000, when I lost Todd, I needed to find some meaning, some substantial meaning. And what I found, the best thing was honor Todd.
Yeah.
And so I sort of went to work honoring Todd. And what could I do? Well, how could I honor Todd? And well, one way I could do was set up an institute. So I set up the Todd Thomas Institute of Values-Based Leadership. And I had written a couple of books before, before 2001, about business and things like that, and kind of collected my thoughts. And then I wondered, well, why am I consistently seem to be happy and living this great life? Why did this occur? And I boiled everything back to a simple, we talked about it just a little earlier, structure that I gave myself when I was about 31 years old, 32 years old I think it was, when I went to a meeting and I got taught by a guy called Red Scott, and it was about values.
Yeah.
And what I did from, say, 18 to 30 was work very hard. I've alluded to my work, work. At the cost of stuff.
Comes at a price.
It comes at a price,
Yeah.
At cost of family time, maybe spiritual time, maybe health time, all this kind of thing. Well, I went to this meeting and this guy, Red Scott, he said, there was only about 15 of us in the class, and he said, what I want you to do is I want you to write down on a piece of paper what's important to you. Like, what are your values? What are you all about?
Yeah.
So wrote them all out. I had about maybe 15, I think on that page, 13 or 15.
Wow.
Things like, but everybody has them, like health,
Yep.
relationships, family.
Yep.
We're all pretty close to the same way. And then I wrote, and then he said, on the other page, I want you to write down everything you've done in the past sort of 2 weeks. What have you done? So I wrote down all these things I've done, like presentation about this and meeting on that, and all this and this and all that. And they said, what I want you to do is draw a line between some things you've done and how they relate back to what's important to you, what your values are. Well, it was like one road going all the way to business.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
had a meeting, sold a deal,
Yeah.
this, all that.
Crying out, you need balance in life.
Yeah.
I've stolen that, by the way, Peter. I put some of that right into the course. The students will be somewhat familiar.
Oh, good.
With this. So thank you for that. In fact, it's in this
Isn't-
great book, To Be Great, one of Peter's less recent books.
Yeah. Well, so that was like my wake-up call. And people do tell me when they read the book, they have an epiphany.
Yeah.
And that's what the epiphany is really. So what you really do is you look and say, well, wow, like for example, I had health.
Yeah.
Really important to me. But my time against health, I used to be like a long distance runner when I was a kid. I ran in the army and stuff like that, And then I kind of lost that because I was working.
Yeah.
And all that was a turning point in my life. And I moved from Edmonton, Alberta in Canada to Victoria, British Columbia in that same 90 days after I had that revelation.
Yeah.
And changed my entire life.
Good for you.
And from that point on, I did what I call now, I lived my life in alignment with my values. And that's, they say that we have a saying that, well, when your values are important to you, it makes your decisions easier.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't making decisions is never easy, big decisions, but it makes them easy when your values are clear.
You can sleep at night knowing you've done the right
Yeah.
thing.
So the write down part is when your values are clear, your decisions are easier.
Good.
So that if you as you move along and understand what your values are. Now, for example, I had 13 values. I've now borne them down to only, in my own values, I have 4.
What are they, Peter?
They're health, freedom, happiness, and integrity. And under those headlines, like comes relationships, family, community, spiritual, all that stuff comes under each one of those. Happiness is just huge. Freedom is huge.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I do that. And then in the book, what I wanted to do, I thought, well, you mentioned Century 21, we did all this business there. But one of the interesting things we had 8,500 salespeople at one time, And so I've always been a student of why are some people successful than others? Why does success seem to come easier for some people than others? Why are some people just seem to get up and it just happens for them? Other guys work their heads off and get nothing. So we boiled it down and did a series of studies and things like this. And I got down to the first sort of try to find some commonality, you might say, between all the successful people. Well, then my life was moving on too. So next time I got into the Young Presidents Organization, I got to see a lot of successful business people outside the real estate business. You know, not just salespeople, but chief executives.
Yes.
As I moved on in my own life. And what I did is I boiled out, I like to say that the 5 things that sets apart successful people from not successful people. And by success, it's got nothing to do with money. Success is, all that word means to me is the attainment of a predetermined goal. That's success. In other words, you said, I am going to become a marathon runner. I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to get my law degree. I'm going to become an engineer. I'm going to become a swimming coach. I'm going to become a housewife. It doesn't matter what it is.
Going to complete my MBA.
I'm going to complete my MBA. You're successful if you attain a predetermined goal. Set the goal and then do whatever it takes to make that. So I felt, what commonalities do these successful people have with each other? Mm-hmm. And this is no MBA study, by the way. This is just me out there in life trying to figure out what successful people have in common.
Well, you got some gray around the temple. It's good to share these things.
Well, a bit of gray, you know.
Yeah.
72 now, so a bit of gray.
Well, you're older than I am, but yeah.
Okay, a bit of gray, and you do learn a bit. And of course, you get learn by osmosis. You know,
Yeah.
you just travel around these people and all that. And so we have had studies done afterwards, and it does make sense.
Yeah.
And the first thing that successful people have is they have a clear and distinct knowledge of what their values are. What do they stand for? What are they about? I just help, freedom, happiness, integrity. So if anything would attract that or be out of alignment with that, I don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Not common. It's not complicated.
Yeah.
Simple. Now, so you got that. You're going up for your day now. You're going to start your day. What is the first major thing that people who are successful have? Well, they have the ability to focus. A lot of people who don't make their goals don't focus. They just lose track. You know, there's so many things that compete for your time and your attention.
Yeah.
You know, things like family, business, sports, TV, internet.
Yeah. We discussed that in this class, in fact, the importance. One of the most scarce resources for strategic leaders is the ability to close the door for 15 minutes and just do some critical thinking and some reflection.
Right.
Because, as you say, you're running wild-eyed all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't sort of have I even have appointments with myself.
Good for you.
Yeah. Like
And what does self respond?
yeah. Well, here's what I want to do. There's a quick one, just very quick about worry.
Yeah.
But you know, I talk in my book about the uselessness of worry. Like worry is like a stupid thing, and we all do it.
Yeah.
And it's proven that 90% of things you worry about don't happen, and 10% probably won't happen either, but some of it might. But that's 90-10.
Yeah.
But yeah, we worry all the time about it. So I thought, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set aside a time to worry.
Yeah.
Well, when? Friday's a good day to worry.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm going to do? From 3 till 5 Friday afternoon, I'm going to worry.
Yeah.
So now that's done. Put that away. Now I can go to work instead of quit
Good for
worrying.
you. Good for you.
But stuff like that, you know,
Yeah.
the little tips. So, but focusing.
Yeah.
So the first thing is focus. The next thing is visualization.
Good.
Successful people have the power to see the finished product. Who's the great teacher? That Stephen Covey.
Yeah.
He said, "Begin with the end in mind."
Yeah.
That says it all.
And that's basic strategy. Isn't it? When you ran your business, you had a vision, a 10-year plan. When I grow up, I want to be.
Yeah. If your MBA program you mentioned, if you're going to see yourself getting your cap on, your gown on,
Yeah.
your graduation ceremony, what are you going to wear?
Yeah.
Where are you going to be? Who are you going to bring to the ceremony with
Yeah.
you? And just that end in mind. So visualization is very strong. The next point is inspiration.
Okay.
Is what keeps you inspired? You're going to look around for things that inspire you. What is it? Is it people? Is it pictures? Is it work? Is it progress? Is it a lot of people keep numbers? You know, they're inspired by, you know, if they're going to run a marathon, they want to do it before 4 minutes. Well, as they build up to that time every week, as their minutes get better,
Yeah.
so that inspires them.
Yeah.
So you find what inspires you, what motivates you, and it might be as simple as saying, you know, I want to take my family, I'll go with my family on a summer holiday next year to somewhere, Europe.
Yeah.
So you set that up, that inspires everything you do. You're motivated to complete your goals because you're thinking of Europe. You're thinking of going with the kids, the family,
Yeah.
you know. So inspiration is huge because if you're not inspired, you're kind of,
You're adrift.
you're adrift. That's
Yep.
a good word, you're adrift. So And that's inspiration. And the last thing is interesting one. It's reflection. Successful people reflect back upon their successes to give them the inspiration to go to higher levels.
Yeah.
For example, a lot of people say, well, what have I got to reflect on? Well, did you get a high school diploma? Did you ever get a swimming medal in school? Did you ever hold an office in anything? Did you graduate from university? Did you make a paycheck of $1,000? You know, I mean, there's a million. Did you have a baby as a mother? I mean, that's one of the most powerful
Yeah.
things in life. And all of us have had that. So that's reflection. I read a book, Terry, it feels like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
It was called The Man Who Tapped the Secrets of the Universe. And I tell everybody to Google it up on your site. But it says one thing. It says that I believe that genius is common. Everybody has genius. But it's the recognition and the awareness of the genius by the individual themselves that either take them up or put them down. So it's very interesting, yes. Believe in yourself.
Yeah.
But, you know, we are all, I mean, we've managed to live outside the ice caps, and the dinosaurs haven't taken us away, and, you know, we've gone through hell and high water
Yep.
as humans, you know, for a lot of years. And I'm pretty positive we're going to make it through, all the way through. I worry sometimes, like, because there's always worries.
Friday afternoons.
Friday afternoons, I do that, and it's worry about the world, exactly right. But, you know, we're going to make it. We're going to make it well. And I'm very excited about the future.
Yeah. Peter, those are very valuable tips. Most are contained in, once again, in your latest bestseller, Be Great. The interesting thing is, Peter, can you just share a few moments with us? The importance, okay, we've established these values as individuals, we know who we are and what we value.
Right.
How important is it that the organizations that we join, if I decide to join Royal Roads with these values,
Right.
how important is it that there's some alignment to be happiness, etc.?
Great question, Jerry, great question. You know, when you go to get a job and look in the world for a job, I always feel that you're not really going out to impress the company with their need to impress you. Like when I go to work for somebody, when I take a client on, and I have for a lot of years, is are they the kind of client I want? Like, do I want this person for a client? Will they keep up their commitment? You know, what will they do? Like, I got my values. So do they? Well, when you're looking for a job, you should check the company out, your people that you're going to go work with, if it's a startup or if it's a long-term company. Like, a lot of people go into startups, you know. Well, what is the commitment of the founders of the company? Like, get to know them. And when you do your job interview, don't be thinking just about impressing them with who you are, but try and pick up tidbits of who they are. Read the annual reports. Is this company the kind of company that you can align your values with? Now, an exercise that I did, you know, it's interesting, when I met my wife, she tells this story better than I do, but it's kind of funny. She said, you know, first I met Peter, she said, on the second date, he pulls up this big book he's got, all about his values and stuff. This is when I was kind of, you know, I have a big book, it's called Life Pilot, and I carry this big thing around, just all this stuff in it, you know, and my freedom and my happiness and my integrity and all that stuff. Notes and notes and notes. And she said, he shared this with me, you know. He said, he went through it, he said to me, what are your values? You know, and she said, I'm kind of taken back. She said, I thought this was fantastic. I've never thought about it before. And, you know, a lot of us out there, a lot of you out there, you live values-based lives, but you have never thought about it. You never wrote it down. And somewhere it's said, somewhere in learning, that until you write something down, it becomes much more rememberable to your mind if you've written it. You know, take the time to write it. So when you write down your values, much different than just thinking about them. So because they become more of a commitment to you. And so with Rita, you know, I actually sat down, and her values are different than mine. My point that I was going to make, like for example, she had spirituality as a value, right? And I didn't think of myself as that spiritual. But if I want to really make her feel good, it doesn't hurt to go to church once in a while and pray once in a while, you know. And now I've learned, you know, it doesn't hurt. It feels kind of good. It doesn't hurt me at all.
And you get a good meal that night.
And I got a good meal that night. Good looked after. That's right. But another thing, you know, her family, like Rita's family, is very, very important to her, relationships with family. So I know how to honor her values. That's what I was going to get at is, you don't need, like you and I, we can be great friends, and you could have all kinds of different values than I do. You know, and I get to honor yours. You might have a value of, I heard Rod Stewart, and the listeners might not remember Rod Stewart, but he's an old...
You and I would.
He's a rock and roller, And they were interviewing me the other day on TV, and I was very impressed with him because he's kept going for like 40-some years. He's 65 years old. Still, he's doing huge albums. His sales are multi-million-dollar platinums.
Yeah.
He's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
And he said that when he goes on tour, his passion is trains. When he goes on tour, he takes he'll set up a whole hotel room beside him with his trains on it.
Yeah.
And go up there. He said, on the road, you have all kinds of time empty.
Yeah.
And he makes his trains.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps him off drugs, out booze, and all that kind of thing.
That focus you
That
talked about.
focus and the passions that he has.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. The same sort of thing, just to digress for a second, Peter, that your mergers and acquisitions, your joint ventures, your partnerships, just like you and Rita, to own values, in joint ventures partnerships, you want to do the same sort of thing right down to a prenup, the exit strategy.
Right.
If this partnership doesn't work, how do we get out of it and who gets what?
Well, any business deal that I look at any time has to have 4 components: people, communication, timing, and finance. The first thing is the people.
Yeah,
Before you do anything,
Yeah.
the first thing is people. Like, again, aligning up your values. Like, can you live your life in alignment with your values? Like, if you got interviewed by Al Capone, for example, and he said, well, here's what you do. First day, you got to whip the car, you don't have to kill anybody, but, like, the other guys do the killing.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. You got, I don't think I want to work there. That's going to be, I wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
So you don't do it.
Yeah.
So you need to think the job through of what you're going to do. It's unlikely Al Capone is going to hire you. If you guys don't know Al Capone, he's a 1920s gangster. but when you look at your company, you got to walk through the job. I'll never forget the interview that I had one time that they wouldn't hire me to go work for the Unemployment Insurance Commission.
Yeah.
And I just got out of the Army and I was
Yeah.
looking for a job. I said, look, I'm a great guy. I could really be good here,
Yeah.
And I'm bouncing off the walls, telling them how good how I really need this job and wanted to do it. And
it sounds like the values are in alignment.
I didn't get it, And I actually called back and I said, I got to come down and see you. And he said, well, he was a nice guy, So I go down and see him. Anyway, he explained to me, Peter, he said, you wouldn't last here for 6 months.
Exactly, the values.
These are your values,
Yeah.
their values, different, And they were.
Yeah,
So you
good
wouldn't
for him.
last.
Good for
Thank God he saved me.
Well, he puts you in the right direction.
I'm at it
Doors
for 20
closed,
years.
doors open.
Right.
Yeah, very good. Well, today we've had Peter Thomas with us. Peter, you're on your way to do a book tour in the States, I understand.
Correct.
And you're kind enough, we're very fortunate. Peter took time today out of his travels to come here for a few moments just to share these few minutes with the class. And it says something about Peter and his giving to the community and to society. And so, Peter, we thank you for that today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good luck, everybody.